Hi there. Welcome to my recording and tutorial on how to use MakeVR Pro. So when you enter the virtual reality room for MakeVR and you look around, you'll see all sorts of objects. Plus, if you push the left upper button, you have a control palette. These are your primitives or shapes, and again, you also have tools on your left button. So you can delete things, which is what I'm doing here. I select it and then press the trackpad, the blue trackpad, and that deletes objects. If you go back to your primitives, you can grab things by under-clicking and then placing it on a desk. And then if you use both controllers and under-click, you can stretch and pull to make objects bigger. So I just made that bigger. Other things, you can snap things so that they fit perfectly onto objects. So I'm going to show you how to snap this primitive shape onto the desk there. So you place the grid till it starts showing green and then push the trackpad and that glues it there. Now when I go to place other objects onto the table, because the grid is there, other objects will also snap to the table. So if I grab that and see how it's turning green there, it's snapped to the table. It's on the underside, but look, I can rotate it around. So it's perfectly placed now on the table. So you can move it around and it's stuck to the tabletop. Okay? The only way to get it off is to under-click and then pull hard or rip it off. So let's take this object now, same thing. It's gonna snap to the object. So it's perfectly placed there. When you do that though, you can't change the size. So I tried to stretch it bigger with both my controllers. You can add a shape to another shape or subtract shapes. So I'm going to delete that grid. Notice how it's still snapped on there. Okay, so again, how do I get it off? Because it's sort of snapped on there. I'm also showing you that on the File button, you can choose other primitives that don't just naturally show up, so you can scroll to other primitives. So this torus, for example, let's stretch it bigger. Using both controllers and under-click, we stretch the torus bigger. We can rotate it around. Now let's put it on top of my thing and let's grab a different primitive. So you can scroll down or up. Grab a cone. We'll put the cone on top. Now that the snap grid was deleted, you'll notice that it doesn't just, it still does snap to the top. My bad, it still snaps to the top. Let's stretch it bigger. Move it around a bit. Once I get it where I want, now if I go to Tools and Add, I can add it to part of, so I trackpadded it. So now it's been added to the top of the cone. Twist it around. Let's put it on top. Now let's add it to this. So I've just added it to this. Notice it's still snap gridded, so to get it off, first let's add another shape. So I added. Again, how you get that off, you gotta rip it. So I ripped it off. So let's delete some of these extra ones now. Delete that, I don't need it. Delete the torus. Let's put that back on there. Once I ripped it off, it's gone. So then I deleted it. But I can undo things. So if I add it now to the bottom, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 shapes now. I can delete that one. Again, it's stuck to the table. The only way to get it off is to rip it off. A couple other things I want to show you. You can add unusual shapes by using the follow tool. Oh, let's talk about the ruler. So there's a ruler that you can use to see how high things are, and the increments of the ruler can be changed. Right now it's every 10 centimeters. So I can stretch the ruler bigger. The increments are still every 10 centimeters. I can snap it to the table there and then bring this object down. I want to see how tall it is. Let's say I wanted to 3D print it. Okay, if I wanted to 3D print this object, I would have to see how tall it is first. So it's sometimes hard to read the increments. So another thing that you can do is, let's get that to the top of the table. I can't stretch it bigger because it's below the table. I can change the increments. So again, I can start to count. Every dash represents 10 centimeters. To double check, there's a ruler beside you. You can place the ruler down just to double check. So now if I get down lower, I can really tell how my increments line up. So I'm lining up with the 10 centimeter. So again, knowing inside virtual reality how tall something is really important, especially if you wanted to save this beautiful thing to 3D print it. This would be way too big to 3D print because it's many, many centimeters tall. Whereas usually when we 3D print things, we want them to be below 20 centimeters in height. So I could rip it off, and now I can use both wands, left and right, both to size it down. Left and right, underclick, and size it down. So I want to make it a smaller size if I was to 3D print it. So again, 3D printing is around 20 centimeters for a height or less. I could do the same with the ruler by checking the width as well. So now I might want to save this onto the computer to be 3D printed. So if I go to File, right now I can check there's no exports yet, so nothing has been saved or exported as STL files. So maybe I want to do that. Just double check, nothing's there. You can't do that. I thought, wonder if I could throw it on the palette. You can't. So the only way to save this is to go to File, Save As, and then Export STL. And then if we go to File, STL Exports, there it is. We could pull that off the computer somewhere on the hard drive, and we could load it onto our 3D printer to be printed. Some other neat features. Let's say you want to learn how the different tools is. This is a sweep tool. So with the sweep tool, you can create kind of tube shapes. Like, to make the sweep tool, you need a wire mesh shape. So this is a wire mesh shape. And so if I put it kind of low down there, I'm trying to make some legs maybe. So then I've got to grab and get just the right corner there, and then I'm going to grab the red ring or the wire mesh and press with my thumb the trackpad, So I'm going to grab and I press with my thumb the track. So grab the red thing, press with my thumb, and then drag along. Just takes a little while to get the handle. I'm trying to get the handle on there. There we go. So now I drag and I hold with my thumb, and I can create more organic shapes, like a leg. Maybe I'm create a leg for this creature. There we go. I can attach it there. Now I might copy it. And rotate it around for another pair of legs. It's an interesting looking creature. Next, I might get those legs just right. Let's say one of the legs isn't long enough. I can try and adjust the length by using the scale. And then I can scale in the Z, which is sort of the up and down. So I can scale it much longer. And then click and use my trackpad. And then I have to grab it. Once you've done that, it shows up underneath. So notice how now that leg is much longer. Probably too long now. I could try and make the other leg longer. It shows up underneath. And then I could add those legs. Right now they're not attached. I can add those legs to my main body. Add the other leg. Now it's all one object. So if I pull it away, there we go. We have one long object now. I could delete those other ones. So I'm deleting right now. Delete, delete. And now I have this amazing thing. Probably should be in an art gallery. It's so good. Again, I could change the size of my creature. So I just doubled its height. Notice how it looks a little thinner now because I doubled its Z axis or height. I can undo that if I want. And then the last thing I want to talk about is MakeVR has some really good tutorials. So if you're not sure how to do something, you can click on the item on your palette, like slice. And let's say it's you don't know how to slice it. Then what you can do is you can click the Show Me tab. So if you click the Show
Grab
Me,
any object with the right hand. Touch it to any other object and press the Go button to slice it into that object.
or click another tool like wire and then hit Show Me.
To move the pivot to the bottom of an object, grab the object with the right hand, click the Drop to Base option, and click the blue Go button.
And then if you go to the Help menu, they have a series of neat tutorials to walk you through things. So lots of opportunity to learn in MakeVR. Thanks for watching.